I'll explain you why we need to study this earthquake geotechnical engineering. So this is the this picture, as you can first picture as you can see in my screen. It's from the 1964 Nagata earthquake. As you can see in this picture, the other buildings are totally intact, and the neighboring building is collapsed. There is no damage of the superstructure, just the total building has the overturn and collapse. This is because of the settlement of the building due to the movement of the ground beneath the buildings, which is the sandy soil, and damage due to the earthquake ground shaking. Similarly, in 1967 Caracas earthquake, again in the picture you can see the whole superstructure is intact. What failed is the ground. That is why this is the overturning of a complete building. So these pictures shows us that there is need to study the ground, not the superstructure. As the superstructure is completely secured, what affected is the ground condition. This picture is the from the 1995 Kobe earthquake of the Japan. A view of the graben from top of the quay wall. Quay wall is basically a earth retaining structure which is used to dock floating vessels. So in this picture, as you can see, the whole crane failure, and this is the reason behind this failure was the liquefaction of the soil. In the 1919 Chichi earthquake in the Taiwan, in the picture, as you can see, the whole river eventually formed a path around the eroded material. As you can see in the picture, the nearby hills have vegetation, but the part of the landslide which causes is completely out of vegetation. This whole mass has slided, and the whole the material is dumped into the river only. So these are the basic reasons, basic opportunity for the researchers and engineers to understand that we need to step focus on the geotechnical part of the earthquake engineering. And again, a very interesting pictures from the Cyprus Expressway, Cyprus Way from Loma Prieta earthquake. In the main viaduct is completely collapsed. With the reason behind was the that this this viaduct was constructed over the filled marshland and half of somewhat of more stable alluvium. And while designing this structure, they haven't considered in the mind the liquefaction potential of the underneath soil. And when an earthquake occurred, the whole structure got collapsed. As you can see in the side view of this Cyprus viaduct. In the Indian scenario, most of us are aware of the January 26, 2001 earthquake. As you can again see in this building, the superstructure is completely fine, just the slight damage to the building in the balconies, and again the overturning of the building is there. So, what was the motive behind showing these pictures? Is the main reason is we need to focus on the ground only. Why? If no structure is stable, if the foundation is not stable enough. So these are the some case studies which gave us the opportunity to focus on the earthquake part of geotechnical engineering. So the major Indian earthquakes is the Indian Ocean earthquake in 2004. You all must be remembering this regarding the tsunami. This Indian Ocean earthquake caused a huge tsunami wave. The magnitude of the earthquake on the Richter scale was 9.1 to 9.3. And the Kashmir earthquake in 2005, the magnitude was 7.6. The Gujarat earthquakes, the Nepal earthquake in 2015, and some of the part of Bihar was also got affected because of this earthquake. The magnitude of the earthquakes was 7.9. After the damage from these earthquakes represented the important learning opportunities for the geotechnical earthquake engineering community. In the retrofitting study, what we understood it, what are the earthquake damage which we should understand while designing any kind of structures. So the major damage which earthquake causes is the ground failure, constructions collapse, fires, which outbreaks because of the broken gases and the electrical lines. Because during an earthquake, the major failure is the lifeline failure, which are the road failure, rail line failure, petroleum line failure, and the electrical and gas lines failure. Landslides in hilly areas. Earthquake triggers the landslides in the hilly and mountainous areas. Liquefaction, the water saturated soil, unconsolidated materials flow and causes the liquefaction of the soil, where it loses all its strength and the structure gets collapsed. These are the seismic sea waves. Tidal waves can grow up to 65 meter. Here I want to clarify that not all the earthquake causes the tsunami. If the movement of the waves is transversional movement, then there is no creation of the tsunami. But when the plates vibrations is like perpendicular to each other, then is there is the generation of the tsunami. But earthquake, so this kind of movement causes the tsunami. So earthquake engineering typically will what we study in the earthquake engineering is the ground motion, because everything starts with the motions of these waves. So as we need to determine the ground motions part, liquefaction part, the slope stability, and as a geotechnical engineer, we must understand where the slope can fail, what is the potential damage plane, what is the potential damage area, where the landslide may occur, and how to mitigate, what are mitigating measures we are taking for this slope stability. Designs of dams and embankments, basically all the retaining structures, deep and shallow foundation analysis, and most importantly the underground structures, tunnels. So, as an earthquake engineer, we need to determine about all these things. So, what our role is, what we work on the safe structure, we work on the safety of all these structures. So, the state in the state of the art technology, basically there are three components in which are involved in this geotechnical earthquake engineering. The first part is taken care of by the seismologist and the people who study the earth science, those who understand how where is the seismic event is occurring, how the transmission of the seismic waves, and a study about the all seismic hazards. So these are the earth science people. And then comes how the site is responding because of traveling of the seismic waves, and how the soil and foundation structure is interacting with each other. During earthquake, the response of soil influences the motion of the structure, and the motion of the structure influences the soil as well. This is the soil is foundation structure interaction. And how the system responding. System is the substrata and the superstructure. How the system is responding towards the transmission of the seismic wave. How the performance of the building or of any civil engineering structure is taken care of by the geotechnical engineers. And the impact assessment, what are the consequences, what are the losses and the decisions, all is taken by these policy makers, decision makers, and people in the social science area. So to mitigate any kind of earthquake or any kind of hazard or any kind of disaster, these three important pillars comes together, form a policy, and then all the work, and then comes the whole picture. So as a geotech, as the student of this course, we can these three main areas are our targeting sector. We can study for the as a seismologist to understand the seismicity and seismic wave and everything. And as a geotechnical engineer, the middle part of this, the site response, soil foundation structure interaction, system response, and the performance modeling comes into our designing criteria. So coming to the next slide, now I will, after covering the state of the art technology, I would like to introduce that what are the problems which we face as a geotechnical engineer while we design many structures. So first of all, the ground motions effect on site. So as I told you that seismic wave travels from the bedrock area to the ground motion to the ground strata, how this ground motion is affecting our site condition, whether it is amplifying, whether it is de-amplifying, and how this machine foundation, as the machine is running machine frequency, and how the waves again affect the foundation of the machine, then how this machine foundation is getting impacted, how the foundation capacity, that is the bearing capacity of the foundation, is changing under these dynamic loads. What are the settlements because of these dynamic loading? What are the increased lateral earth pressure due to the dynamic loads? While designing earth retaining structures, you all are aware about the earth pressures and everything. So how this dynamic load affect this lateral earth pressure, how the soil liquefy under these dynamic loads, how the earth embankment failure occurs during this dynamic loads. So basically, as all of you will be aware about the what so soil basically soil is good in the tension, and soil strength is the basically shear strength, which depends on the cohesion and friction. So how these cohesion, frictions, and the density of the soil is changing under the dynamic loads. These are the crucial, important questions which a geotechnical engineer faces while designing anything under the sun because of dynamic loading. So these are the main problems. If we can answer all these questions, we can design anything case or any foundation or anything. So now I will take up a separate problem, and I will just give you introduction about every problem and how to deal with this problem. So first one will be the side effects on ground motion. So if structures founded on soils, especially if soft, tend to be subjected to the stronger shaking with longer period. So as you can see in this picture, a wave generated at the bedrock level and then it travels to the outcrop level. Depending upon the soil above this bedrock region, the seismic wave can be amplified or it can de-amplify. Soil acts as a filter. Sometimes the soil, what the soil does, sometimes soil absorbs all those waves and there is no transmission. But sometimes soil intensify, or we can say the amplify. But currently, in the absence of such prediction, engineers basically use a historical earthquake record. And this is a current area of research that we don't know whether it is going to amplify, whether it is going to de-amplify. So currently, we generally use the peak acceleration values and the scale, the records of those peak values. So there is a very interesting case study of the Loma Prieta earthquake in Mexico City. The wave generated PG at the soft soil side. This SCT is the soft soil side, was significantly higher at the rock side. What actually happened is the ground response was amplified 7 to 8 times of what it was at the bedrock level. So the earthquake, which was not so much intense that it caused such a destruction, but the soil above the bedrock region, just the seismic wave got amplified, and you can see the effect in the current picture. So on which factor this amplification depends? So this amplification depends on the dynamic properties of the soils, like shear modulus, damping of the soil layers, and the properties of the soil layers. What kind of layers are there which is going to amplify or de-amplify? So many a times it's not the intensity of the earthquake. It most of the time it depends on the soil characteristics as well. So a low intensity earthquake may cause a very devastating effect even as compared to a high intensity earthquake. So basically, as a geotechnical engineer, what our role is to understand how this is how the soil beneath the strata, beneath the superstructure is going to behave, whether it is amplifying those waves or whether it is de-amplifying those waves. So this is the first question. This is the first problem we face as a geotechnical engineer. Now, as I discussed in the previous slide, that comes to the foundation design. How this earthquake impacts the seismic design of foundation. as you can see in this picture, so foundation system are supposed to be designed for loads which are higher than the ultimate flexural capacity of the column. As you can see in the picture, all the piles suffered severe settlement and tilting. Why? Because the complete loss of the bearing capacity of the soil. As you can see, there is a liquefiable soil layer is present in the foundation area. So when we design such kind of foundation, we don't take account the strength of this liquefiable soil layer. So what we completely neglect the strength from this layer and then design our foundation system. So local soil condition or these are or other parameters are determined by the measurement in the laboratory or in situ. So if there is any liquefiable soil layer or any strata which is going to collapse during an earthquake, we don't consider about its strength. We generally do is we just avoid it. So similar case happened in the 1964 Japan earthquake in the city of Niigata, as I explained in the previous slide, the same happened in 1964 Japan earthquake. Whole pile, these piles were supported on a liquefiable soil. So the response of piles in the soft soil continues to be an important consideration and difficult problem to fully understand. So there is one more problem. How I told you that how the foundation is going to collapse because of an earthquake. So now coming to this another problem, the most important one is the liquefaction damage. Liquefaction, in a very simple terms, what can I say, is a phenomena where the soil completely loses its strength and stiffness and behaves like a fluid. So that's what happened in the Nishinomiya Bridge in 1995 Kobe earthquake. The whole soil got liquefied, and the bridge collapsed due to the foundation deformation. So these are the major case studies which showed us that we need to understand the soil dynamics and its impacts, and to understand how to mitigate these disasters and these effects. So what are the current research trends in the industry? Basically, we still don't know many thing about the how to model it, and what are the methodology, and sometimes it is very difficult to access the geology and the geological profile of that site. So there are uncertainties. So if you want to design suppose say a tunnel you want to design in in a Himalayan region, and it is not accessible to get the complete parameters of earthquake and the complete geological and geotechnical parameters there. So seismology and geology relevant to earthquake engineering problems in modeling and methodology. This is the current. These are the research problem: how the wave propagates in the soil, how the wave is scattered, and what are the dynamic crack propagation in soils and rocks. So this wave propagation in the soil and wave propagation in the rocks is a completely different kind of thing. Soil behaves very different from the rock when it comes to the wave propagation part. Dynamic constitutive behavior of materials. As we know that constitutive laws are the relation between the forces imposed on the substance and the resulting deformation. So there are various constitutive models to model the soil behavior, like Mohr-Coulomb, Hook-Brown criteria, Drucker-Bracher model, but there is lacking of the dynamic constitutive behavior of the material. So many research are also going on this dynamic constitutive behavior. Dynamic interaction problems, soil structure interaction, fluid structure interaction, and tsunamis, if only related to its geotechnical and structural system. During an earthquake, the soil, as I earlier told you, that soil influences the motion of the structures, and the structure influences the soil strata. So this is the soil structure interaction. Similarly, fluid structure interaction. If a certain water body is present, and how the fluid is affecting the motion of the structure, and vice versa, is the fluid structure interaction. Taking on the soil structure interaction problems, how to model a seismic buildings, how to model rock socketed pile, how to model many different soil structure interaction problems. So, and now comes to the another one, seismic analysis and design of steel and reinforced concrete structures, retaining walls, dams, and slopes. And effect of moving load on bridges and pavement and vibrations. Many a times we hear about the bridge collapse and the pavement breaking, and the because of the vibration of something, there was a failure of the machine and everything. So these are also comes into the geotechnical engineering consideration. So after talking about the current research trend, now I would like to put some light on what the role of a geotechnical engineers, what exactly as a geotechnical engineer will we do. So basically, there are three important aspect of any geotechnical engineering problem. The first one is the planning, second one is the execution, and the third one is the report writing or designing. So in planning, the first one is the cost minimization on exploration and yet give reliable data. Suppose we are designing a multi-story building which has many amenities and everything in it. So, and they have given us a site where, suppose previously where there was a lake. So, what kind of exploration is required for that kind of soil? So, we don't want to put everything in the exploration stress, right? So as a geotechnical engineer, we'll give a cost minimized exploration idea that this much exploration is required, this much testing is required, and yet to give a reliable data. It's not like that we don't want to invest on the investigation part, so we are giving just whatever the situation is there. No. So as a geotechnical engineer, cost minimization is also our role, and similar time we have to give the reliable data to understand the site condition, decide on quantity and quality depending on type, size, and importance of the project, and whether the investigation is preliminary or detailed. For example, if a site is near to a area with where the blast loading, yeah, bombarding, yeah, this kind of activities are going on. So, do we require a preliminary investigation in that area, or we require a detailed investigation that how the vibration is going to affect, how this blast loading is going to affect? So, this is also we as a geotechnical engineer plan. Coming to the execution part, now when first you have decided that these are the tests which we are going to follow, and these are the, now you need the data. So collection of disturbed and undisturbed samples from subsurface strata from the field, and conducting in situ test or subsurface test, which may be directly or indirectly study of the groundwater condition, as it is going to affect our properties of the soil. So this is very important to study the groundwater condition. And what are the laboratory testing on the samples comes into the execution part. The third one be the report writing. You will carry out the detailed descriptions, topographic features, hydraulic condition, existing structures, everything, and prepare a plan and and drawings, etc. And description of the nature, type, and importance of proposed construction. You will design the foundation and everything. Description of whatever the field and lab test has been carried out, and the analysis and discussion of the data collected. That what this having the data is not the complete information. You have to give the you have to analyze that data and tell the contractor or tell your firm that this is the information this data is giving, and that's why we are conducting such and such analysis, yeah, such and such method, yeah, so and so machinery. So this comes into the analysis and discussion of the data part. Then preparation of the report, charts, table, graphs, and the recommendation. And the major geotechnical engineering firms in India are the Singers Geotechnica, based in the Noida, Fugro Geotech Private Limited, based in Mumbai, Macquarie is one which works in the geotextile field as well, because once you know the impact of earthquake, damage of the earthquake, then comes the ground improvement part. And in this ground improvement parts comes the effect of use of the geotextile line as well. So Macquarie is the one which is working with this geotextile as well. L&T Geostructure, Keller Group, DBM Geotechnics, AECOM Gurgaon, and Atkins, and many others. These are the few which I have mentioned in my presentation, and there are many others. For the reference part, I have taken the Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering Kramer book, which is like a Bible for geotechnical earthquake engineering, and the liquefaction resistance of soil. Of this is the NCER NSF workshops from the Journal of Geotechnical and Geoenvironmental Engineering. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.